Today we have an announcement related to a new idea that's going to be tried and evaluated and looked at as a part of it. So joining today and part of our speakers today, joining me is Mayor Joe, who had the pleasure of coming out to the Near East Side many, many different times. I'll quickly mention that this site is also part of the Indy Lift neighborhood. In fact, a few years ago, just right across the street at Brookside Elementary School, we had a press conference related to that. So you can think about community development and public safety kind of going hand in hand, or as they used to say back in the day, kind of weed and seed. You know, weeding is about rooting out the issues that are causing an unsafe community. Seeding is about creating spaces like this for community use as a part of it. So with that said, I'd like to introduce our mayor.
Thank you. Well, I do want to first thank James and the Bonner Center for hosting us today. He has mentioned several things that the Bonner Center has engaged in here in the Near East Side, but I also want to shout out and recognize the work that the Bonner Center has done as the fiscal agent for our Indy Rent program. The Bonner Center has connected tenants with $170 million and counting of rental assistance, and that keeps more families in homes throughout the city. But today, we're here to announce IMPD is now in phase 3 of a gunshot detection pilot program. This is the latest in an overall technological upgrade for our officers. It's also the latest step in our 3-year, $150 million violence reduction effort. And while the pilot phase won't cost the city any money, it does work alongside other efforts in which we have already invested. In the short time they've been in use, these upgrades have led to positive IDs, cleared cases, and accompanied a reduced level of violence. However, as I've said before, I don't want any mistakes made. While 2022 has been a significant improvement over 2021, we are not at our goal. The city will keep doing everything it can to make Indianapolis a more peaceful and a more prosperous home for every family. And that's why we're here today. If gunshot detection proves useful and cost-effective in the long run, it will join the broader effort to make our city safer. That includes enhanced police technology, funding for 200 additional IMPD officers, as well as historic levels of investment for both neighborhood organizations and services that combat the root causes of violent crime. Again, make no mistake, October has had its challenges, but we remain as committed as ever to reducing violence in our city. And so it is in that spirit that I hand things over to the Vice President of the City County Council, my friend, Zach Adamson. Zach.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to District 17. Public safety is a #1 priority for the City Council, whether that means investing $45 million in grassroots organizations who are committed to addressing the root causes of violent crime, or, as it does today, supporting IMPD expansion in modern policing technology. That commitment to public safety has not wavered. And that is why I'm proud to be here in my district, District 17, with Mayor Hogsett, Commander Thomas, and Mr. Taylor to support IMPD's gunshot detection pilot program. Last fall, my colleagues and I unanimously passed Mayor Hogsett's $150 million comprehensive violence reduction plan, which was made possible with the American Rescue Plan funds And that plan emphasizes law enforcement investments, including $9 million in modern policing technology. These investments do not replace the hard work of IMPD officers, but will support and enhance their work. During this pilot program, we will work closely with IMPD to monitor what this technology is doing and how it will be helpful to officers. Once final plans have been made, we will eventually vote on this gunshot detection system technology. In a perfect world, we would not need to make any investments in modern policing technology because our neighborhoods would be free from gun violence and crime. But the unfortunate reality is, as violence in our city continues to take far too many lives and leaves behind the pain and grief of loved ones. And this investment in technology is a direct investment in ensuring that our neighborhoods are safe. While we are still in the pilot process, I would like to encourage everyone to educate yourself about what this technology is doing and what it is not doing, so that we can work together to make Indianapolis a safer and better place to work, live, and play. And I also want to emphasize what James Taylor had said earlier about violent crime issues are not simply addressed by policing. This technology is not going to be a golden key that solves the issue. Community engagement will continue to be a critical role in the solving of the problem of violent crime in our cities. We have to, as neighbors, as community organizations, commit to coming back to our streets, coming back to take ownership of the public spaces in our neighborhood to really solve this issue. And this is just one part of that toolbox to help solve the problems. I would like to thank IMPD and all the members of our public safety departments for the challenging work that you do every day, always putting the welfare of our community and residents ahead of your own as true public servants. And now I would like to turn it over to Commander Thomas to discuss the specifics of the gunshot detection system. Commander?
Good morning. I'm Commander Thomas with the Criminal Investigations Division at IMPD. First, I want to thank the Bonner Center and the business owners and residents in this neighborhood for partnering with our beat officers on this pilot. A few weeks ago, IMPD shared on social media platforms and with some of our media partners where things stood in regards to the gunshot detection system pilot. During the 2-week phase that was just completed, officers were not yet actively responding to gunshot detection notifications. But it was important for us to communicate what step we were in and what residents could expect from officers moving forward. Each morning, an IMPD analyst generated a report for officers to follow up on and canvass the locations identified by the gunshot detection data during the previous 24 hours. Statistics from this phase will be available after IUPI researchers complete their analysis of the data at the end of the year. Which brings us to today. Since Monday, October 10th, IMPD officers have been actively responding to gunshot detection system notifications within 4 patrol beats on East District. Officers within the beats on all shifts were previously trained on all 3 systems. If and when a gunshot is detected by the sensors, the officer will receive an alert on their laptop. During this pilot, the alerts go straight to the officer's laptop and not through the 911 dispatch center. Upon an alert, the officer will immediately report to communications the location of the gunshot detection and respond with another officer, treating the incident as an in-progress crime, making a safe and tactical approach. Responding officers will complete a canvass in the area, searching for victims, suspects, and evidence, while also speaking with residents. Evidence recovered will be documented and processed. Over the next 9 weeks, officers will be doing the same process with a total of 3 different vendors. These vendors include Flock Safety, ShotSpotter, and J&M Security. The final phase will occur in December and will involve a week of data analysis and follow-up with all 3 vendors. At the end of the pilot, all of the data will be turned over to IUPI so that the city, the mayor, the council, and of course the community can make an informed decision about the continued funding of this technology. We will evaluate this technology to see if it improves officer response time, if it helps officers locate and provide medical treatment to shooting victims more quickly, if it alerts IMPD to unreported shots fired incidents, and if it assists with evidence collection. One last thing. We want to make sure residents know gunshot detection systems do not replace the need to report all shooting incidents by calling 911. Meaning, if you hear gunshots, we want you to pick up the phone and call 911. This technology is meant to give IMPD officers more information so we can narrow the focus of response and investigative follow-up. At this point, we aren't certain what the results of this study will be, but it is our goal to go through this pilot process, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then we'll report back the findings to you. With that, I'll open it to any questions. While the results of the last phase that we completed will not be available until after IUPUI researchers analyze the data, anecdotally we can say that we have confirmed incidents where we've recovered multiple shell casings at the exact location where an alert was detected, as well as at least one firearm. It's too early to answer that, and that's why we're putting the data in the hands of IUPUI to make sure that it's accurately analyzed and returned to us in the community. So we started with data, and data led us to this particular neighborhood where we felt that we would have the best opportunity to evaluate this technology. There's a lot of improvements going on. What we saw was some clustering of some shots fired incidents, and so we felt like this would be a appropriate area to test this technology. So I think like anywhere in our city, this area is safe. However, there's clusters caused by maybe one house or a couple people that live on a street or don't even live on a street and visit. And so it's really a matter of identifying those clusters in those specific areas, narrowing our focus on who's causing violence in our city. And this area is no different than any other area in our city. There's opportunities to identify people responsible. So we're actively responding to incidents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this phase lasts about 9 weeks while we evaluate 3 vendors. At the conclusion of that, we'll be in December, and we'll have another phase where we begin to analyze the data. Absolutely, and I think that it's important that we set appropriate metrics for this. And we'll see what the data has for us, but we're also getting feedback from our officers on what they're experiencing. And what we're already hearing is that this technology is getting them to a street that's experiencing some issues and giving them an opportunity to engage with residents and do some problem-oriented policing. While shell casings may not always be found when an officer responds to a gunshot detection alert, we're hopeful that those conversations with residents that are outside at the time or when an officer is canvassing can lead to improvements on that street and ultimately reduce additional shots fired incidents. Incredibly important. In fact, this technology simply enhances our existing relationship with the community to improve the areas that we patrol. Without that information about specific times that our community members are hearing gunshots, specific locations, what they identify to be problem houses on their street, it's very difficult for us to narrow the focus and really provide context to that data. No, at this time, we're gathering the data, we're gathering the call records, we're gathering the gunshot detections, and all of that information is going to need to be analyzed and correlated using the IPUI research team. No, we're not prepared to release the specific number of gunshot detections. It's also important to note that we have 3 vendors that are providing their technology to this area, and their results are going to be different. And that's something that we've been encouraged by through this process, is that we are seeing some differences in the results of the vendors. And it's too early to release that information without it being comprehensively analyzed. Different. They're different technologies, and they have different strategies on what they believe is an effective gunshot detection system. And this process has afforded us the opportunity to see 3 different technology platforms and help us better understand the systems. So the devices are mounted throughout the community, and the vendors engage with the owners of the properties to identify suitable locations. They have different strategies, different number of sensors that they're putting out there. That's proprietary information to the vendors, and so that's really a question that we would have to defer you to the vendors on whether they want to explain their process for putting their sensors up. But they do engage with residents and business owners. So right now we're in the flock safety system, and then the next 3 weeks will be the shot spotter, and then the final 3 weeks will be J&M security. No. Yes. And that's just working with the vendors, and the vendors getting their technology online, and then that was the time frame. So there's no specific reason. Thank you very much.